Hey, my loves, we are live for the Danette May Show here on the podcast, but we're also live on Facebook. We're bringing the Facebook family into this conversation. I'm going to press play on the Facebook app and bring people in live, and we're going to be asking, they're going to be asking their deep relationship questions. What do you do to get the love that you desire? Like, how do you communicate with men? How do you rekindle the passion in your relationship? All that good stuff. So I'm going to press play really quick and we're going to get this party started. Hello, everybody. We are on the Danette May Show on the podcast. I'm going to show you guys really quick. I am also on Zoom on the podcast, and I'm bringing you guys in live with me because I want to answer your questions. I want to support you in all of your relationships and what you're going through. So let's get this party started. So first up, I had a woman ask me a very private question. And she was dealing with, she's been married to her husband. They have children. They've been married for 20 plus years. Was very passionate relationship when they first met, obviously how it always usually is until we have kids and different hurts and different hardships that we go through in our marriages. And she said, I just am so angry. We've tried therapy, we've tried different things. I'm angry with him about past things that have gone on. And I had a question for her, and I have a question for any of you who might be going through something similar is do you choose this person? Have you decided that you want to be with this human? And she said, yes, I've chosen that, you know what? He's a good person. He's a good father. I do love him. I do want to spend my life with him. And I said, okay, if you choose him, because what she was asking me is I really miss having sex. We have maybe sex maybe once every couple months. And I'm a sexual person and I miss having sex. And she goes, so what do I do? Because I'm having a hard time engaging in it and having it because I'm angry and I just feel like this resentment towards him and I don't know where to go with this. Now, what I want to share with all of you is what I'm going to share with her. So how many of you guys can relate to that? Please let me know. How many of you can relate to that? You're just like, I want to feel more sexual. I want to have more chemistry in this relationship. We've been together 20 plus years. We have a whole history. But there's also this wounding and this hurt that has been in this relationship that I'm not quite sure how to ignite this chemistry because I don't really feel like doing it, but yet I do, but I don't because I'm mad at him. But I'm also like, it's so old, it's hard to bring up the past. So I'm going to share some wisdom with you. If you're in a relationship and you know you are choosing this person and you know fundamentally they're a good person, yes, we all make mistakes. We all do things to hurt other people in our lives. And you choose this person and you know that you've had a chemistry, they're a good person, then you're not self-abandoning your anything by being intimate with them. Maybe instead of thinking about I'm being intimate with them because they want it, think about I'm being intimate with them because I want it. Because I actually want to open parts to my sexuality. I would like to experience pleasure and I'm going to do it for me. And what is going to happen is men typically, this is stereotypically, if you've ever read Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, you would understand this concept. Men soften when there's sexual activity. It's usually that they can communicate, open up, forgive, clear the glass, clear the past when there's been a sexual encounter, when you've had intimate sexual connection. Now, women tend to need conversation, clearing the glass, making sure everything's okay, communicative wise and emotionally wise before they can have sex. Do you see how that can be a huge disconnect? The man's having a hard time opening up. You want him to open up. You're not giving it to him. He will open up when you give it. He has that sexual expression. We're wired a little bit differently. And so my advice to her would be that, hey, if you choose him and it's little things that are keeping you at odds and not having you sexually connect with them, and you're also thinking, I'm mad and I want to clean this up and I haven't gotten full closure and I feel emotional and I want to talk about these things, so I'm not having sex until we do, and he's having a hard time talking about it, what I would suggest is you do intimacy for you. You have intimacy with him for you because it actually opens you up. It actually creates healing in your body. You're not self-abandoning yourself. When you self-abandon yourself, you're like, oh, I'm just only going to have sex or be intimate for them. That's self-abandoning. When you choose to do it for you and you know you're going to choose to be with them. They're not a bad person. They haven't hurt you really other than emotionally, and you can clear that with time. Then what you're going to do is as you open up that sexual connection, then you can start saying, hey, I would like to have open conversation. There's some things that I just want to clear up, clean up. And Kimamami words it as clearing the glass. You have this clear glass when you first meet and everything's crystal clear and so fun and everybody's so beautiful and so fun and bright. And then life creates this fogginess. Life creates this mess on the glass, and it's hard to see through the glass. It's hard to see your partner. It's hard to see yourself, because you have to understand your partner is a reflection of your internal world. That's why we get into partnership, because it is the greatest work we'll ever do. But the glass gets mucky, it gets dirty, and we clear it through open communication. We clear it by saying, we're going to have open communication. You're going to share with me, and I'm going to listen. I'm not going to get defensive. I'm not going to justify my behavior. I'm going to listen. And then as you do that, then you start to give them the sense of trust, and then they give you a chance to communicate. And you have this agreement that you're going to have this open communication. That's going to open you more up to feeling more intimate, but he's already opened up because you've opened up intimacy prior. You let go of your ego, you let go of your pride, and said, I'm going to be intimate with you because of me, not because of you, because of me, but for him, it's for him too. Does that make sense? So I wanted to share that. And I would like to share about friendships, because friendships can be just as hard as a divorce. These friendships that we have that are so long and so endearing and mean so much to us, and then all of a sudden there's a falling out, or there's a misunderstanding, or people just go down different paths, and we don't really acknowledge the pain that can happen in these type of friendships that move on. And I want to bring up that conversation because some of us are evolving, growing, changing, and therefore you start to go, I don't know if we have the same rhythm or the same frequency. I don't know if we are going to be going down the same path. You've heard the saying, we have people in our lives for a reason, season, or a lifetime. And it's really hard when you think someone's going to be a lifetimer and they only were a season. Or it's even harder when they're a reason. Reasons meaning that you got to learn a lesson. There's a lesson, and usually those lessons are not wrapped up with a pretty bow. They're wrapped up with sandpaper. And I've had some of my hardest moments in life in friendships with females, because when I love fully, I'm like bringing you in. And if there's lack of communication or there's ghosting that happens, I haven't had a man ghost me. Maybe I should take that back. Maybe I've had it. A ghosting just means that someone is deciding to not talk to you. And you have no idea what happened, why not, and it's so confusing. So I'll bring you guys on live to ask any questions, or you guys can write in the chat a question and I'll answer it here live. This is free coaching that I'm giving. But what I have learned, and as I'm getting older, is that I am changing, and I have to be okay with the changes I'm making, which means your frequency changes. And there's an experiment about frequency. Like, you can't be with somebody who has, like, for very long, that has a really different frequency than you. It just doesn't harmonize. It doesn't sound good. It doesn't feel good in the body. And what I've decided is that I'm just going to follow the clues of my body, first and foremost. If I feel uncomfortable, or I feel on edge, or I feel antsy in their presence, then they're not great for my nervous system. And that is my first easy step, is if I'm not just able to be comfortable and to rest and to just be me, then that says a lot. I can still be like acquaintances, but they're not going to be in my inner circle. And then let's just say you have an inner circle person that there's a falling out, or there's a miscommunication, and there is hurt. Sometimes it's okay if they fall out and you just wish them well and say, I wish you the best and on your way. And then there's other times when we need to just be really open to look at our side of the street, because we have a perception of what really went happen. We have one angle of this whole sphere of the whole situation. We're looking at one angle, and then the other person's looking from another angle, and there's just a mixed match of understanding. And so it's really important for you to step back and try to see their angle. How are they feeling from their perception? What could possibly be going on from their perception? And try to meet them there. Try to open up the communication, say, I could see how this may appear, or how you might have perceived this, and I want to just apologize. And then we humble ourselves to apologize for the angle that they are witnessing. You don't have to own it, but you can apologize, right? That is going to help some of those relationships come back. And other times you just have to wave goodbye. They don't have to be gnarly. They don't have to be mean for them to release from your life. It just means that you're moving on. They're moving on. There's a different frequency that's happening. Be grateful for the lessons. Be grateful for the memories that you did have with this human. They were real. They did happen. But it doesn't mean you have to walk the rest of your days with them, especially if you have a personality like mine. I tend to want to, if I love someone, I want to keep them in forever. And I'm like, you're in here forever. And I've learned that's not the case and not everybody wants that. And be okay with that. Lucy just wrote in and she said, how would you handle a ghosting situation from a close childhood friend that was like a sister family? Now, first off, ghosting, if you are a ghoster, you are someone that's ghosted people, you really need to look at yourself, because it means that you are trying to avoid a tough decision, or not a tough decision, a tough conversation. And you are running away from, especially if you've been friends and family, like she's saying, like a sister, family, you owe that person at least to a conversation of saying, hey, you did this, or my frequency's changed and I'm moving on. If that's what you choose, you have every right to, but to just stop talking to somebody is really, it's going to come back around. Someone's going to end up doing it to you, which you're not going to like, or you're going to find yourself doing this to more people. And you really never can run away from people. You can never like ghost them. Like, people just don't disappear in life. That's just not how it works. And that energy cord is not a good one. So if you're a ghoster, look at that. Go, wow, I need to have these tough conversations. Granted, if it's a boss or just a so-so friend, you don't have to. You can just not talk. But when they're family friends, you should open up that conversation. So Lucy, what I would do, since you've been ghosted, is I would reach out. You probably have already, but reach out in a loving way and say, I recognize that you must be hurt, that I've done something to hurt you. I don't know what you're going through, but I'm open to hearing. I'm also going to give you space to have your freedom to not talk to me anymore. We don't have to be in each other's life, but can you give me some clarity on what I've done wrong so that I don't repeat it in my future relationships? Then you might get them to come and re-engage and communicate with you. But if they do, you need to be open to what they have to say. You shouldn't bombard them. You shouldn't fight it. You shouldn't deflect. You should just receive it truthfully. So be ready for that tough conversation if you're going to engage in that. Now, if you are just wanting them to be your friend, but they're choosing not to be, that's okay. You need to let people have their rights to say, I'm changing and our frequencies don't match, and be okay with it. I know it's really hard, but maybe look inward, because I've had a couple people ghost me. This was in my past, and I had to really look at, if I'm seeing multiple people ghost me, and male and female figures, then there's something that I need to learn. It's not about them, it's about me. What do I need to learn? And ultimately, I found out that there's a deep wound within me around abandonment, around my parents. If I don't do exactly what they want, or live the way that they would see for me, or believe what they believe, then they will pull away from me, or they won't be in my life. And that wound was creating more examples of that wound for me to heal that part of myself. So that's an invitation. If you're seeing multiple people do this, got to let people move on with love. If you've already done your side, cleaned up your side of the street, you tried, let them move on with love, and just know that maybe you're being protected. Maybe this is a blessing in disguise. Hopefully that was helpful. Thank you for your question. I'm going to see if anybody else has any more questions about relationships. Do you have any parent teen? I have my daughter who I interviewed. She gave some really interesting advice. She's 17. Two parents, from her perspective with her friends and their parents, and just in general, she gave out some powerful advice around what parents should be doing to cultivate a relationship with their kids and how to really understand their teen. It was really good. So if you're into the show, the Danette May Show on the podcast, on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, then go look for that episode. It's in the relationship series and it's about communicating with your teen. Look for that. Hi, guys. Okay. Let's see if anybody else has a question. So I gave you guys 2 examples around how to really reignite the passion in a relationship that's been going on for a long time and you still choose them. How do you reignite that passion? And I also shared about how to handle friendship and ghosting. I want to say this, the greatest work you can do is not externally. It's not in what you give to your friendships. It's not what you say to your friendships. It's really about the internal work that you are willing to do within yourself. Everything external, from our friendships to our homes, to our careers, to the world, even natural disasters, is all a reflection of the internal world you have. And I know that's hard for some of you to grasp a hold of, but it's true. This internal world is the only one you have control of. And I promise you, as you work on your internal landscape, your internal universe, your internal frequency, it will shift your external reflection all the way to your love that you receive from your romantic partner, to your friendships, to the relationship with your kids. So the biggest work you can do is internally. And you might be going, what do I do internally? It all goes back to how much love you can have for yourself, all the way back to yourself. So cultivating patterns or rituals in your everyday that are kind to you, the words you speak to yourself, doing mirror work, looking in the mirror, looking in your eyes and saying loving words to yourself is really powerful. I know it sounds really out there, too simple to be true, but it works. Having time to journal. Who am I? What are my feelings? What am I going through? That's self-love. Moving your body is self-love. Choosing yourself to a little date to yourself. I call it an artist date. So every week I give myself an artist date. It's not that I'm taking someone else with me. I'm taking myself with me. And I do a little artist date with myself. And that's about 2 hours. And when you start to treat yourself with love, when you start to respect yourself, when you start to understand who you are, the external world matches that. It's really beautiful. So start getting into some of these patterns of mirror work, maybe meditation, some self-love. Take yourself on an artist date each week, couple hours, like what lights you up. Maybe it's coffee shop. Maybe it's looking at trinkets and artifacts. I don't know. Whatever your thing is, whatever lights you up. Maybe it's doing something new, like trying a painting class or trying a new thing. All of that can ignite the energy source, the vibrancy inside of you, so that you're shifting that internal landscape so that the external landscape mirrors it. When we're looking in a mirror, you can't, if someone's frowning, if you look at a mirror and your reflection's frowning at you, right? You can't go to that mirror and try to make it smile, right? Try to make it smile. You have to smile here, and then the mirror will smile. And that's the same with anything externally in your world. You've got to change the internal landscape. And this has been the biggest game changer for me, truly. I'm going to answer another question. She says, can you please talk about business relationships? For example, managers, manipulations. Thank you very much. It sounds to me like you have a manager that is being manipulative. And how do you handle these business relationships? Business is different slightly. Because what's crazy about business is some of us spend just as much, if not more time with our business coworkers, managers, bosses, than we do with our own internal family or our best friends that we only see once a month. And so that gets a little confusing. Like I was talking with my daughter, I spend more time at school than I do with you, Mom. So I spend more time with my friends. You don't know all the stuff that's going on in that friendship circle. You don't know all the things that we're going through or facing. And I was like, good point. So these business relationships are important, right? Because you're spending so much time. So what I always say is that the external environment is not what you're liking. You're not liking the manipulation. You're not liking the reflection. To take note, but the biggest point in all of us is to get to a neutrality within ourselves, where someone can be negative, someone can be manipulative, someone can be mean, someone can be whatever they want to be. They can dress in a potato suit, they can do whatever they want, and you stay neutral. That is the biggest goal for all of us, because then no one can destroy your peace. No one can shift your frequency. You're walking into work, you're like listening to music in the car, you're feeling pretty good. And then you get to work and someone spews something at you, or it feels manipulative, or it feels negative, or whatever it is. Are you going to hold your frequency that you walked in with, or your frequency going to match theirs and start to bring it down and lower? And you got to learn to hold your frequency. What do you want to feel? And when I'm running into situations outside of myself like that, in the morning, what I'd like to do is journal on what I would love to see, what I would love to experience. And then I close my eyes for 30 seconds to 1 minute, and I see myself unfazed, keeping my same frequency of what I want to be, love and light, high vibration, feeling good. and just like a duck, water running off my back, I visualize all that and I feel it in my body. I almost like role play it. And I do this also with just technology because technology can spin me out more than people, actually. So if I have a big technology day, I will visualize the technology going really well. Or if it goes not well, how do I react? Like planning ahead, like how's Danette going to react if the technology doesn't go well? Because there's been so many times I haven't operated very nicely to my team, to myself, to the energy around me when technology goes out. So just do this with humans too. And it's a practice. You're not going to be an expert right away, but really honing in of what is the frequency I'm going to hold today, no matter what. And really trying to practice to stay in that frequency no matter who you encounter. Sometimes these people just move away or they start to match your frequency and you'll start to notice there's less manipulation, less low vibration, less negativity. You'll start to notice that, or you'll be unfazed and they can carry on and do what they want. So that's your biggest work. Thanks for that question. That was beautiful. I'm going to close out for today, but I just want to remind you that I have a Danette May show. It's called the Danette May Show on Apple Podcast. It's also on Spotify. So all you have to do is go to the Danette May Show and you can find all sorts of episodes on health and wellness tips, the best ones. You can learn all about my hysterectomy surgery and the foods I ate and the way I navigated that massive surgery. You can hear from people that have died, literally had near-death experiences and came back completely healed. These crazy cool stories. You can hear about people that talked about seeing aliens. There's so much on this show and it's absolutely free. I love to have you guys here. We're doing a whole series for February for 1 week where we're doing all about relationships and how to navigate them, how to have the best relationships that you truly desire, honestly. And we're just a big family here at the Danette May Show. And I'm sending you all the mojo because a lot of us feel alone, but the truth is we've got relationships all around us, whether we're in a neighbor relationship, a friend relationship, a lover relationship, a child-mother relationship, or just girlfriend relationship, whatever the relationship is, we are in relationship with the world around us. And remember, the power lies within you. When we point at someone, all the fingers are pointing at us. If you want someone else to change, you've got to change your internal landscape. You got to know what you want. You got to be the vibration of what you want. You got to be the energy of what you want. And then it'll start to shift. You got to embody what you want, right? So a lot of people are like, I want this lover. I want this type of person in my life. I want this man. I'm like, okay, you list me all the traits. And then I go, okay, are you embodying those traits? Are you passionate? Are you funny? Are you fit? Do you take care of yourself? Are you peaceful? Are you adventurous? Check in with yourself. You want your child to listen to you more? Are you listening to your child? You want your coworker to be positive and less manipulative? Check yourself. Am I being manipulative? Am I being positive? Am I holding my own frequency? Am I not letting other people bring me down? This is the internal work. I'm wrapping you up in so much love, you guys. It's been so fun to do this with you, and I will see you. I'm going to try to go live every time on my social for the show, and we'll see you next time.